Hey Larry,
Hey, how you doing?
how are you?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
I'm good also. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cold and rainy here for the last few days, which is a big change from what we've had for the last 8 months or whatever. So,
Yeah,
welcome change in a way.
yeah, I can imagine.
So,
It's strange because
yeah,
it's again not announcing the Hangout on Google Plus. I had to put the link myself there.
yeah. I noticed it said there's a hangout. Oh, there's a live hangout. I went there and it said it's gone.
Hey
And then
Mike.
there another one came up. Hi, Mike.
Hey, hi Larry, hi Gert.
Hi. So it's not working quite the way it used to work.
No, it's strange, huh? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
and it used to have a button to join this hangout, and
Yeah,
this one didn't have it. But I pushed another highlighted text and it came up. So
yeah, I don't know what's happening. I don't
always
know.
different.
Yeah, it was like that last week also, strangely. And
Hmm. Okay.
hey
Hey,
Antonio.
Antonio.
Hey Antonio.
Such punctual people.
Hi everyone, sorry, I was muted here.
So I'm just gonna see if I am sending out audio this time. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just hope that it's
Okay,
right audio this time.
my Chrome froze, so I'll be back.
Okay.
Antonio, I liked
Yeah,
your alchemy
that video.
mobile.
That's just simple improvisation. I don't know. Let's see what they
Uh,
think of it.
But I looked
People
on their Facebook page and there don't seem to be that many entries. So,
Yeah, it's strange. I don't know. I didn't send that link yet, and I think many people has done the same. So probably there is a lot more videos than we
right.
able to see. I don't know.
yeah,
The
the
dead the deadline is today at midnight.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really amazed here. You got 4 touch surface iOS
Yeah.
devices. Only
I
4?
Well, he's got 4 limbs.
That's
yeah.
right. Hey,
Uh,
At
that's what you
least.
forgot.
yeah. I've
Forgot to use your
borrowed
feet.
I've borrowed some of them. One is for my daughter, the iPod, and the iPads are mine. I was planning some more, but I should have written something because I was just okay. Let's see. No, this maybe not. And just recorded 1 or 2 takes, and what comes out, what's there.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're judging for, but it was. I would think that something that makes people want to use the app. So
Yeah,
sound and visual both, I think, are. I would guess. I don't know. I definitely like your sliders jumping around on the mixing board.
yeah. That's the part of the creative or
Was that
visually.
was that random or was that tied to what you're playing?
It's supposed to be tight, but I cannot send MIDI clock to Alchemy or the other round, the other way around. So I tried the time to stick. It's never going to exactly
Right.
be on time. Yeah, but I tried to make the moves with the groove or that loop. It's on the bottom.
Yeah, watching those sliders remind me of a dream I occasionally had when I was running sound with the 24 channel mixing board, sometimes using every bit of it.
Yeah,
The dreams I would have. Oh no, they're running away all by themselves.
Why
yeah, but
are they doing that? And then you touch that part and the others start moving. And you're like,
but
Yeah, there we go.
but this one with the pitch bend, it's tight to the pitch bend.
yes,
So
yes. That I
Yeah,
could see. That you could clearly see
yeah,
that when you used the Pico, the faders moved. But when you were using Alchemy,
yeah.
it seemed a little bit detached.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not easy to again have a time that they
Yes,
obey. Yeah,
if you have to, if it's just on rails and it's going on a certain time clock and and the rest is
yeah,
not synced to it, then you can't ever be exactly on the same spot.
Yeah, I have to send 1 or 2 emails to Alchemy, Camel Audio people so I can know what really the iPad can take. A bit like any Moog.
But it should be able to take a MIDI clock.
I think it mentions that, but I didn't.
But maybe they just
Or-
didn't implement it. Hey, Dragika.
Morning.
Hello.
Hi, there you go. Yeah,
Hi.
maybe it's the camera connection kit. I shouldn't use that. I got line 6, but it's the old version, so
I don't think
Maybe-
that would make any difference. If it's getting
Yeah.
MIDI, if the MIDI gets
Yeah,
there, then it should get a clock also. It's
yeah, that's my thought.
maybe the app just doesn't support it.
I've actually ordered iConnect. I don't know if I posted that on Google
Yeah,
Plus.
I saw
It
that.
looks like an interesting little box. I haven't got it yet, but I'll give you a report when I do.
What is that?
Well, it's a MIDI interconnect box, but it's standalone.
Yes, I remember.
So it'll support iOS devices,
Yes.
USB MIDI devices.
Yes.
And OSC.
And you
More
can
than
all
that.
plug them in, and then it just redistributes, right?
Right, and it's got an app that lets you
Random.
filter stuff.
Yeah.
I think I'll write to them and say, they really need to do the kind of mapping that a lot of the PC apps do.
Mm-hmm.
So you can map, say, one controller to another controller. They don't do that. You can filter it, but you can't say, I want controller 15 and 16 on this channel to be
Yes,
controller 17 and 18 on that channel.
Mm,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I think they did a demo for Music Mess on NAM last time, where they hooked up
Yeah.
the what was it again? They just hooked something to the iPad that wasn't supposed to work with it, and it just worked out of the box with very low latency.
Yeah, well-
I think.
My basic motivator is the Moger Fogers don't have MIDI through, so I needed a couple of extra MIDI out ports anyways,
Yeah.
and that looked like an interesting device.
Yes. Yes, talk about MIDI. I contacted Moog about the Slim Fatty because the last public firmware has only 14-bit support for mod wheel, so modulation, filter frequency, and I think the ARP, the arpeggiator's tempo or something like that, the sync. But apparently, but they sent me immediately another version that's about to come out where they have that for all MIDI controllers. And I hit the exact same problem as I had on the iPad when I was working on Moog, is that as soon as I started sending out full rate 14-bit MIDI over 2 CCs, then just basically the other end doesn't hold up. It's like it gets too much data and it can't process it anymore, and then and it's just very weird stuff that starts happening. So you always have to decimate it.
I haven't.
Yeah, but that's over MIDI DIN, isn't it?
No, it's USB.
No, yeah.
Okay.
It
But
happens to me also
Yeah,
to Alchemy.
What
yeah,
felt
on
to
the
me
iPad.
like, Mike, is it's not a limitation of the bandwidth of the cable, but I think it's a
okay.
limitation on the processing on the receiving side.
Well, that's quite possible.
Yeah, because it seems, when I was playing around with it, it like stopped doing something and then it kept going on for a little while longer, as if it was kind of clearing up a buffer or something like that. So
I used to have that early days trying to play my VL1 with Eigenharp.
Mm-hmm.
It was really weird. You'd stop playing and it would just keep going on, right?
Yeah. So if you have to decimate it, and then it works, but
Sure.
it's a shame. So another reason to try to wrap up that CV stuff. It's,
Yeah, with all you people doing CV, I got my own CV that I'm starting to work on here.
awesome.
It's a Shruti, if I pronounce it right.
Right.
A guy in France makes it, and it has a digital control card. Then it has an analog filter card, and the filter card will take CV. In fact, the digital card is generating CV. So just by clipping onto the right places, and I'll have something I can CV control like the rest of the big Eigenharp players.
That looks awesome.
It's a lot of fun too. It's been years since I've built something like that. I used to do it for a living, sort of, but so it's kind of fun
Yeah.
getting back into it.
I've been pondering taking up a project during the Christmas holidays is to actually get into electronics because I've always been interested in that and never did anything with it. And I was kind of wondering maybe build an oscillator or something, just start from nothing and
Oh yeah.
Scrape my way up trying to to figure out.
Yeah, but
Just
yeah,
gotta be sure that I order
you can
everything.
get things like this, which are plug-in
Yeah.
breadboarding things. You can put your pieces and your parts and your
Yeah.
wires and your power supply into it, and then just do stuff like that. You don't even have to build a whole circuit board, or you can buy kits. There's
Yes.
a bunch of stuff out there, and there's a ton of stuff on. If you go searching on Google or whoever, and they explain all sorts of different electronic concepts like op amps and some of your basic stuff like that, how they work, and all
Yeah.
the details about it.
Yeah, I think it's quite
Much more
important that I
than
should start understand that stuff because it's still
well, yeah.
Chinese to me.
I mean, most of the stuff that they're doing now with the modulars are, basic stuff, mostly op amp circuits and things like that they use for filters.
Yeah.
So once you understand that, you're just, a lot further along with reading your schematics and all that good stuff.
The only bit of soldering that I do is when I build my cables. That's it at the moment.
Well,
Yeah.
It's not
soldering is,
the most fun part.
soldering is pretty easy. The main thing is to have a good soldering iron at the right size and the right wattage,
Yeah.
so you don't accidentally burn things up, and yet it still melts the solder. And also buying good quality rosin core solder.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff you buy at the local stores around here, which is not very good. There's just, over the years, what's the best stuff to get, and you can buy that online too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking
So,
of getting a collection of stuff together and then ordering it and hoping to get it back here for Christmas holidays
yeah.
and just lock myself up in a room.
Yeah, get some reasonable ventilation if you're doing a lot of soldering, but other than that,
I was just
Yeah.
thinking, oh, good solder fumes.
Oh yeah.
yeah. Well, of course, it's lead tin, so there's I mean, if you breathe it long enough, you wind up like me. So, no, I mean, it's
Or
generally.
like the Franklin expedition across the Northwest Passage, which apparently lost its way primarily due to lead poisoning.
Really.
Ooh.
Well, I gather that that's the way they used to seal tinned preserves in that
Oh
era.
yeah, yeah, that's right.
The link I posted is a pretty good book about if you start with electronics,
Cool.
about everything that you need to know. It's not just music, but I liked it a lot.
Physical computing.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, thanks.
Awesome. I'll have a look at that. I've been reading a book also, but more about digital signal processing that I really like. Also, I don't know if you guys are interested in that.
Okay.
Can't remember the name of it though. Gotta figure it out now. I'll paste the link when I find it.
Okay.
So I've tried a few of them, and most of them are pretty boring. But this one has got me hooked. Let's see if I find it on the Kindle.
Yeah, my Christmas projects are more about Lego, and
That's a lot of fun.
yeah, being with all the kids and forget about a bit of music.
This one.
Something- All right.
Very technical. It's for programmers, right? But it starts from almost zero. Just need basic math understanding, and
I think isn't this one on the net too?
this is the last edition. It's quite better than the one I found on the net. I found the first edition in some kind of Spanish library, where they had the PDF scanned in, and it's it's amazing. They just their whole library online as PDFs for students not protected. So
Wow.
I got that, but I had a bit of trouble starting with the first edition. I know there was some pieces missing in the beginning that kind of required too much, too big a leaps each time to catch up with it. And they seem to have bridged those gaps in the third edition. I really like it now.
That's good. I'll have to check it out.
It does. It does ask you to. It's for programmers, so they quickly go into. Well, no, I don't think so. More math, and then afterwards they go into programmer stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I've been busy moving house, but I also promised I'd tell you about the Tom Jackson thing.
Yesterday.
And how was that?
And well, so I'll actually do a hangout on that separately if you want, if there's an interest in it. It was literally the most engaging and fun day I've had in 5 years.
Wow.
It was absolutely astounding. I just posted his website. His website's sort of hypey. Like, it's a bit over the top,
It
right?
is, yeah. I looked at it and it's like, okay.
In fact, in real life, the guy's quite an interesting character. And what was particularly good about the day is he's got... So, Antonio, I think you'll relate to this. He's got a theatrical aesthetic that he brings to rock groups.
Yeah.
And his observation was that, these guys just stand up and they know their music, they love their music, we're going to play it like crazy, and if there's an audience there, that's okay. And his advice all circled around how to lead into it, how to engage the audience, how to hear them, how to respond to them, and how to give them something that's accessible to them. So, and there's lots of very interesting specifics in this. Around dynamics, around the notion that if you've recorded a piece of music, probably 3 or 4 minutes long, but if you're playing it live, somebody's actually come to see it, so you have a little more time, and how to bring out little pieces of it that you might like to play. So all this is nice. I mean, you go to hear a speaker, it's sort of, that's good stuff. But what was really, really fabulous about the day is he had 2 bands. I think they're unsigned bands that got handed to this event by a Canadian musician. Young guys and girls. And so after he did his first little talk, on comes this band, and he says, okay, play. So they do what they would be doing that day. And the first band, it was actually, they were pretty good. But then he sort of said, okay, start playing. And after about 2 notes, he'd stop them and go. So he basically did live music production for 2 different bands, about an hour and a half each band, couple of bars at a time. Try this, try that. No, you stand there, you stand here. Very theatrical. Simple things like, you know what, you guys just all marched to the front and danced around all at the same time, and your audience didn't know who to look at.
Yeah.
So like maybe we should, who should we lead with? How should we build into the song? They had no notion of building into the song. They just stood up and played, right? And the change in the music. So there's like 300 or 400 people there. They're musicians. So first of all, these kids had guts. I mean, they literally stood up and said, tell us what's wrong with us in front of 300 or 400 people who actually might know something about playing music. I really had to admire them. I walked up to one of the guitar players and said, that was amazing. I mean, I wouldn't do that. And he says, well, I don't mind making a fool of myself. I learned a lot. Dead on. But as that progressed, you could feel these musicians in the audience go, yeah, that's really good. The second band, which came on after lunch, was sort of loud rock stuff and wasn't really my thing. They sort of played through 2 songs, and I really just wanted them to stop. Like just stop. Now, it was me. I mean, it was just it was like a wave, a tsunami crashing over you. It was way too loud and way too all at once. And this guy had I mean, that was not lost on really anybody. I mean, even people who would have really liked the music would have probably found that it just washed over them and the wave would move on and you couldn't really engage with it. So this guy has a really good way of I'll give you an example on that particular one. The bass player was a real character. Dreadnoughts, big 5-string bass. And he says, before he started, he says, I'm going to date myself. Anybody remember The Who? Remember who was really good in that? Wrong. It was the bass player. And so he says, you're really good. And the guy was really good. So he says, let's not do that. Drummer, just lead in a little bit, give a bit of rhythm. Now you go over to the stand, come forward. Everybody else is going to watch him and lead into the song with that really neat little thing you were playing. So he did. And then it was sort of, when you're done, you're just going to put a little tag on it. You're going to turn around and walk away from the audience. They need to know several things. One, you're a real star. You're going to stand forward, you're going to play, you're going to command this, and you're going to take your time getting there. And two, they're going to know when you're done, and they should look at this other guy who's going to come forward in his own time. And you're going to hold on the one, like on the first measure, and he's going to walk forward. He's in about 10 minutes, their intro was something that would just sit an audience down and engage them. It was absolutely great. And, it was just really nice to see these, I'll call them kids, I'm old, but, they were 20-something people, go from a garage band who were getting bookings to something where, they'd get callbacks. And there's no question these kids would get callbacks. And it took this guy maybe an hour.
Wow.
Hmm.
So it was exciting, and it was fun, and it was very heartwarming.
Well, he should come over to Europe so that we can go watch it.
Actually, I think so on several occasions, he genuinely said, I'm not trying to sell you something. And I get the impression he's got more work than he can actually handle. Right. And he probably really wasn't trying to sell anybody anything. But he does have a lot of stuff on his website. He's got a thing called Backstage Pass. Mm-hmm. And they're basically recordings of what he does. And I think it's like $14 a month. But the other point that he made that was really good was about, he told a lot of anecdotes. So one of them was about a group that he'd known, and he was talking to them, and they said, oh yeah, we got our record out, our CD out. Oh yeah, how long did it take you to record it in the studio? The guy says to him, oh, it's about 6 months. Well, you making any money? Well, we're not breaking even, of course. I mean, but, it's good advertising. So then he says to the guy, well, how long did it take you to write the songs? Like, what was that effort? He says, well, I wrote 71 songs, and the company sort of accepted one without change, and then we ended up with about, I think, 16 on the CD. How long did that take you? Oh, about 6 months. Oh, and you didn't make any money from that? Well, no. Okay, and now they were going to take that into gigs, right? Sell merch, do all that kind of stuff. And he says, so how long have you been preparing your show? Like, how long have you been rehearsing? The guy says, 3 days. And he throws his hands up in the air and says, now, does that make sense? The guy's going to make 90% of his money. He spent a year losing money, and he's spending 3 days preparing on where he's going to make his money. And he says, and the interesting thing was that a couple of days later, the guy came back and said, well, the reason we don't rehearse is we don't know what to do. Yes. We know the song. And it really underlined for me what this guy was doing. He takes these people and he says, okay, but this is a show. Yes, you know the song, but your audience does, and they don't care. So here's how to present it. Here's how to engage them. Here's how to build into it. Here's how to create moments that they relate to. Mm-hmm. And according to him, most of his clients, their merch sales go up anywhere from 400 to 600%.
Wow.
Well, because people want to take that home with them, right?
Yes, yeah.
Because they're engaged.
Well, I've been seeing that during our gigs. We're nowhere, anywhere professional or something like that. But as we progress in our how do you say this, communication with the audience through the music and also the transference of the fun that we have while playing it towards the audience, instead of just keeping that amongst ourselves, but really actually sharing that with the audience and having this interaction going on. The more that happens and the more we're confident with that, the more we sell. It's,
Sure.
It's really drastic change. It's like in the beginning we used to sell one CD, and now we sell like 10, 20 CDs.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, Gert, honestly, you might. I mean, it's $14 a month or something like that.
I'm gonna look at it. Yeah, I'm gonna sign up for it.
And if you want, sometime it's not recorded. I can actually play you the stuff that he did on a Hangout.
Oh.
like I can actually show you and talk to you over. I just have the audio.
Yeah.
But I had my LightScribe pen with me. Those things are great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a lot of what he does is visual, because he's producing a show, and he spent a lot of time making the point that it's music, but it's a show. People listen with their eyes. So you can't see that in what I captured, but I could describe it to you. So if you want, we'll do a hangout on it.
That would be very cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've got the LightScribe also, by the way. What is it called again? Is that the Pulse, or is the other one that you have, the newer one?
Oh, I got the Pulse.
Yeah, I have the Pulse also. Yeah. But I don't write anymore, so I never use it.
You know what? The only thing I wrote down were basically bookmarks in the audio.
Yeah.
I don't. Does anybody else know what a LightScribe is?
It's LiveScribe, right?
LiveScribe, yeah.
LiveScribe is the thing on the CD where.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
Yes.
I had something similar break on me.
When would you like to do the hangout?
Hang on. Too many cables.
Yeah, I've been doing LightScribe labeling for quite a few years now, since it came out.
Yeah, I just misspoke myself. This is just a pen that
records
right. I
both
understand.
ways.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course Gert pulls it out.
This is the Pulse, right?
Yep.
I'm not sure it's charged though, because I don't use it, as I said. The neat thing though is, what happens is that you've got this little camera at the bottom here, which takes, 20 pictures per second or something like that. And you use that on a special paper that you can print out yourself. And what's unique about it is that each piece of paper is actually unique due to microscopic dots that the camera will capture. So and no piece of paper will ever be the same, which means that every time the camera takes a picture, it's like an absolute reference forever until into eternity of what happened at that time, which is the audio that it recorded, because there's a microphone in here, and the picture that it recorded, so whatever you write down, is bookmarked for all eternity and tied to that page. So afterwards, if you've written down something on a page and you recorded the audio at the same time, afterwards you can just take your pen and point at a position on the page, and it will play back the audio that was being recorded at that particular time.
At that time.
Yes.
It also works in reverse, so you can play the audio, and it highlights on the page what you wrote at the time that was being said.
Yes. So you got an application on your computer where you can look at that. It's a neat device. They actually have an SDK where you can write applications for it. People that wrote a little, they've got these things where you can draw some pictures,
like drawing the piano.
Yeah, and then you play notes because it detects which note you're tapping. You can also use it as a calculator, so it detects which numbers you're writing, and then it's a neat little device. And I've never actually used much of it because when I bought it, I basically stopped going to conferences.
Well, it was sort of perfect because they were. It's a great stealth recording device because you're just taking notes, right?
And they've got this other thing. Do you have the headset?
Yeah, I do, and I really wish I'd taken it, but I didn't.
They've got this headset. You think you're actually listening to audio, but it's a stereo microphone. So on each earplug, there's an external microphone. So you record in stereo, actually, which means that you've got positional audio, and when you listen back to it, you really feel as if you're present, because it says exactly what your ears would be hearing.
It's actually a binaural recording, which is sort of special, right?
Sorry,
if you listen to it through headsets later.
Yes.
Wow.
Anyways, when would
Amazing.
you want to do the hangout around 10 o'clock Sunday this week?
10 o'clock Canadian time, right?
This time. This hangout time.
No, that's not possible.
Just tell me a delta from this hangout if it's some other time.
Sunday we've got there's Santa Claus in Europe, which is a little but it's different. It's what you call Santa Claus is something else here. It's kind of offset by 2 weeks, and with the two characters. There's one that his date is actually tomorrow. Is the 6th of December. Where he actually marches on the top of houses, and together with he comes from Spain, and it's a Dutch character. Basically, came from Holland, and he throws around oranges and stuff like that. So that's actually
now
a
you're
thing.
about to get controversial with his helper, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. So it's that family party on Sunday, so I can't on Sunday, but. I can do later. I can do in the evening. And so, 2 hours from now.
So, wait a minute. Today's Monday?
Sorry. So not on Sunday, but 2 hours. Sorry. So you're saying, what were you saying? Sunday, 10 o'clock?
No.
No. Oh.
I should learn to speak clearly.
No, it's me. I'm
quite happy to do this any day. Like we could do it tomorrow or Wednesday or whenever.
Let's do it after Friday, because this week is going to be extremely intense at Eigenharp.
Okay.
So I probably don't have any time. But as of Saturday, whatever's fine for you, except in the afternoon European time on Sunday. For the rest, I'm fine.
Does anybody else have a I mean, I'll even do it twice. I don't care.
Let me see.
Saturday.
Where is that? World Time Buddy, what's that name? This is very nice. There it is. This is really handy if you've got to do something with time zones.
Okay.
Well, while you're doing that, I need to let my dogs out.
I can hear it.
Big black squirrel.
So, how's your analog synth stuff going, Drachika? Got any cool stuff you're doing?
Not yet. It's slowly. I'm getting slowly there where I want to go, but it's slow going.
Yeah,
There's a lot of other stuff happening too, and it's
I hear you.
Yeah, I saw your slideshow. That was nice.
So,
expected to.
let's see. Are you on Montreal time, Mike?
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. So, I could do 1 p.m. on Sunday, for example. Oh no, hang on. Is it Sunday? Yeah, that's Sunday. 1 p.m. Sunday, then anywhere from there onwards, or any time on Saturday is fine for me also. You know what works for others.
Well, we're not sure anybody else is interested.
No, well, I'm interested.
Yeah,
so.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. I have very few time constraints other than when I'm awake.
Well, that's early for you. When is it?
No, 1 o'clock his
yeah.
time would be noontime my time.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you're talking 1 o'clock in the morning.
No, I was looking at
I
Tokyo.
don't think you're talking that late. No.
And you see, all empty. So
1 o'clock
Sunday is okay.
Okay, well, 1 o'clock Montreal time, which is 7 o'clock Central European time.
Yeah, it's Eastern. 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right?
That sounds right.
I don't know
Sure.
what it is.
Well, give me a
Can you maybe
chance.
write
Just
this
Standard time,
down?
yes.
here.
Sorry?
And that'll give me a chance to just snip out little tiny bits of the sound.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Actually, I used to record when we first started with the band. I didn't have any kind of gear, so one of the first recording devices I used was actually the Live Scrap Pen.
That's neat.
Yeah, it was actually quite fun. But you had to no Sunday, Jessica.
Sunday, okay. See,
And
that's why I asked.
and
So the other thing they talked about that you might be interested in at this conference was using QC codes and text messages.
yeah, okay. QR codes, you mean?
As a band.
QR
as a band.
codes, you mean? QR codes, right?
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
QR codes.
Yeah.
And this wasn't Tom. The actual organizers used QR codes for their draws.
Yes.
So you scanned the QR code, it automatically sent a text message. You got one back and said, "Do you want to subscribe to everything else we do?" And you could say yes or no, that kind of stuff. Very interactive.
Yeah.
And he made the point that you can print a QR code on your sweater
I know. Yeah.
or on the front of your instrument, right?
I wanted to do that. We made this huge banner for the band, and
Yeah.
I wanted to put a QR code on it, and with huge argument because nobody knows about it here in Belgium. I said, this is gonna come. People are gonna start using it, and so we printed the banner.
Well, I've never seen it used as effectively, but they're clearly using it as a way of engaging people because it's interactive. Because as soon as the guy answers, you've got him, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then,
I have my new-
so I printed this thing out, which this huge thing, with the name of the band that you hang in the back of the stage, and literally the week when I received it, Brussels announced that on every monument they're printing now a label with a QR code so that you can actually get more information about that particular cultural thing. So everybody knows how to use them now. So, my God, I should have put this on this banner.
Yeah, I have my new business cards also have a QR code on
Awesome.
the back.
I put them on my screensavers also now. So when I go on a conference or something, and my screensaver pops up, then if someone records it, there's always this huge QR code, and people can use it. Or if they take a picture.
I have it on my phone too.
I think they were also presenting a backroom app that used the QR codes to create and interact using text messages.
Oh, yeah.
So rather than, yes, you can give information, but you can also run things, right?
Right.
So I'll look up more of that and get back to people whenever I find out more about it.
Cool.
Does this work on both Apple and Android type of smartphones?
Yeah.
Yes.
Any smartphone with a camera.
Okay.
The other thing they were talking, there was another sponsor of this event who do apps, band apps. $500.
I've rarely seen the point of that. I don't understand the real point of it.
Well, I mean that was my question. So
Yeah.
I'll also look into that and see what they're trying to say. It's good or bad or indifferent.
Apart from saying, "Hey, we've got an app," I've never really seen the point of having a band.
Well, it depends on what it does, right? And whether anybody cares to have it.
If you
Have you
don't,
guys seen-
what can you get for $500? Right? It's probably not much.
Well-
Or it's the same as what everyone has.
Yeah.
Don't know.
I take it you have all seen or heard of Björk's new iPad app.
Yeah, her
Her
album
new
that she,
album.
that she released, an interactive thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes
I
quite.
think it will be the future. There will be more apps instead of albums. But either $500 are too much, or to not enough. You know, if it's standard, it's too much. And I don't know if you really want something individual, how to do it for 500.
Oh no. The thing, though, this is a good point that you have there, Rechike, because I've been thinking about that. You know, in the same way as photos are not the same as movies, is that apps are really not the same as music. No, you can put on music without actually, while doing something else, right? If you've got an app and if you release your album and if your album becomes an app, it requires people to actively engage with it, which is a total other way of consuming or using media than listening to music. So I'm not really sure that we should think of this as a replacement of releasing music.
No,
Maybe
but you could
just
think of
an
it as an alternate.
enlargement.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And an alternate revenue stream.
Yeah, that's what I think is you can make it in an app, you can make it easy for people to pay you. You know? Like instead they're buying a t-shirt, they're buying an extra badge. Because they want to, you know, like I always think that people actually, if it's easy, they want to give the band they like money.
Exactly.
So they could give you money for something that they think it's cool, because as a fan it's cool, and it would be easy for them.
True.
That's
true.
where I think a lot of smaller bands could make probably make some revenue.
Also, Gert, you make the point that was made at this conference yesterday, that it's often the case that people want to listen to music. No question about that. But it's also possible for a person to want to engage in a piece of music. And, you know, a live show, a live event is one way to do that. You know, an app is maybe just a different vehicle to do that.
Maybe, yeah. Have to see where to go with that. Have you tried this Björk album, Tragika?
Yeah, I have tried it. As an ex-game programmer, I'm not really blown away by it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit simple. Let's say it like this.
I've not tried
And
it.
I think that's what you'd see with this $500 app. It'd be trivial.
I should take a look at it.
Yeah, maybe you should. I think it's interesting. There are other people doing similar stuff, and it's actually not too complicated. Do you guys know something like, it's called RJDJ? I think I also
heard of that.
Yeah.
yeah. I think things like this will be more and more common.
It's reflecting.
Sorry, dogs want out, dogs want in. You know, it goes on.
Yeah.
That's why my it's downstairs.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sorry too, I have to go. I have to leave early.
Okay.
To go somewhere too. So fun to
Nice
talk
seeing
to you all.
Yeah.
Nice to see you again.
See you.
Weekly meeting is really
See you on
high
Sunday.
point of my week.
And see you on Sunday for.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you on Sunday. Learning how to stage things.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what our music director, when we had the church group, when the church was still around, he was very good at that. He spent most of the time working with the musicians, not just on the music, but stage and motion, and just don't stand there and things like that, which amateur and volunteer musicians tend to do. So he was really good about getting it much more lively and much more audience involved and things like that. It really helped.
Yes.
And he had a lot of experience at putting on shows. So.
In this guy's particular case, a lot of it was the exact opposite. It was very much more staging. Like, okay, if it's great to dance around, but probably maybe one or two at a time, or in some way that makes sense, right?
Well, yeah, definitely. It was organized. It wasn't just everybody doing everything. It was have it make sense, Exactly. You'd have different parts, You have lead parts, you have backing parts, and things like that. So different people did different things.
Well, and for what it's worth, he said he had arrived from Austin that morning.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear about him.
Well, I think he lives in Nashville.
Oh, okay.
So you might very well be able to see an event if you're interested.
Yeah. I'll have to check out his website. I haven't.
Well, his website's a little off-putting from my point of view.
Yeah, there's this one video on his website that he highlights in the top left. It's awful. When I saw that one, I was like, okay, curious to see what Mike's going to think of it. But
I'm guessing.
It was $50 and I wasn't doing anything on Sunday,
Right.
so what the hell?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
there was there was a mixer with a bar at the end of it. So
Right.
hey,
I'm guessing that he would put his upcoming events on his website. That's what I was thinking of.
I don't know if you're on it. He certainly does on Facebook.
Okay, Facebook. That's another thing. Yeah, yeah. I'm on Facebook too. There's some people I know that's the only place I see them. So
Right.
have to check out all of the different places now just to stay connected here.
I find it so. I sort of stopped using Twitter about a month ago, and if you go to my Twitter profile, it says I'm not here. Find me on Google Plus, and I'm still getting people asking to follow me. Like, do they not look at my profile?
No, they don't.
It's just weird.
No.
Well, but so who the heck just follows complete strangers who say I'm not home? It's just weird.
I know. A lot of people follow you in the hope that you follow back, so that they can channel stuff through to
Sure.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe there's an app that goes out and just follows people that have any sort of a keyword or something.
Have you ever tried to
robots,
make sense
yeah.
of the Google recommendations? The Google recommendations make no sense to me particularly.
No, I haven't followed them. Occasionally people say they're following me, and I go and look at what information they have, and I will put them in my circle if there seems like there's something that has some relevance to me. I mean,
Sure.
just because they're following me for whatever reason doesn't necessarily mean that I want to follow them.
Definitely, yeah.
Or put them in a circle. And I'll usually go and look at their page, and if they have something that says, well, they're an Eigenharp player or they're electronic music, something that I'm interested in, then I'll say, okay, I'll add them to a circle. But if there's just something that doesn't, a lot of them don't say anything.
No.
I go, well,
Yeah,
I don't know what this person's doing.
And I don't have a profile.
I don't have a picture. I don't have a profile. They don't know anything about me except my name. I go, well, I don't think I really need to put him in my circle.
No.
I mean, he might, but he needs to give me more information, at least a little bit. So I'm not into collecting big hordes of friends or circles or anything else.
No,
Some
you
people
have to-
seem to think it's a number contest.
No, you have to be
When you
somebody.
go on
Antonio,
Facebook.
Yeah.
How's your prep for your next show coming? You were going to be busy with that.
I'm busy. I'm already busy with it. Yeah, it's rolling. I talked to Gert. I am involved in a lot of things other than just the music. I'm now making and constructing the set or the surrounding. You're talking about theatrical things with the people on stage, but I go much more beyond that. I like to be involved in the sets, in the lightnings. I also program lightnings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes I get time doesn't stretch enough so
No.
I can be everything. But I like to be involved in very much every aspect of, again, something that people are going to see as a performance, as a show.
I wish I lived closer. I'd like to see some of that. I used to do backstage stuff in junior high school and high school, all of that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like choosing all the materials, what people wear on stage. It's
Nothing.
Well,
most
costuming
important.
too. Wow,
Yeah,
total involvement.
yeah, a bit.
That's nice.
That was the other thing that was funny yesterday. These two bands, so 10 kids, of all of them, only one of them had what anybody would call a stage costume or stage dress.
Yeah.
And, they were truly freshly baked.
Right.
Well, probably.
And interestingly, the one that did have a bit of stage dress was the youngest. And she was, believe it or not, 16. She was there with her parents.
All right.
This
Well,
is,
part of it's just being.
we're coming back from that actually, Mike. It was just strange with the band because we've been trying to do work in that area, and the thing is that probably because we never worked with someone who knew what he was doing, but it always felt a little bit too artificial. It's like trying to find something that looks good and that suits well with the rest, and then it takes this additional prep time before going there, and then if you think about how to stand and what to do on stage, well, certainly for the type of gigs that we do, it doesn't pay off, and often it results in doing a performance that's not as good as if you would not think about it.
Yeah, I think this was very much a part of what he was doing. You have to find something. How did he express it? It's bringing out the in your performance.
The what?
So if what you're saying, that you're right, it's just wrong. It's just not what you're trying to do.
Right.
It would be like trying to play music you don't like.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Hey, Ludovic.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Morning.
Yeah.
Ludovic is contacted me on Google Plus, and he's interested in the Eigenharp, and he's got the same problem as many people have, which is trying to try one out, and he went to one of the retailers who don't stock any anymore.
Yeah.
As is the case for quite a few of them, sadly. It's there is this thing, Ludovic, with most of the retailers, is that the music retail business is basically down the drain at the moment in general, and most of them even have trouble selling through the classic brands like Fender, Gibson, Marshall. Even those things have trouble being sold through, so they already are very reluctant in stocking those instruments. So something that's a little bit more alternative, they really don't stock them anymore because they can't take the risk in this current economy. Which is
that's it.
Yeah. So
that is more or less what they have told me.
Yes.
But it's okay. I will find another one, maybe in Paris.
Well, in Paris, I'm not sure they still have, but they did have a few. If you're up for a long drive, you can come over to my place. It's not that far from Paris. It's so.
I may go there for work, so maybe I make a few more kilometers to enter the shop.
Right.
And try it.
I'll give them a call first to make sure that they have it. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if nothing else, here you are presented with 4 happy players.
Yes. Alpha, or I see an alpha here.
Sorry?
And Pico players too?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think apart from
Mine is
Larry,
here.
we all started with a Pico. Here's mine, and Mike has got one somewhere else.
Yeah, I have a Pico.
We all started with one, apart from Larry. And then
Which says if you look at it and you think it's appealing, you can save $600 by just buying a tower and alpha.
There you go. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I applied the $600 to buy audio units and things like that.
But I don't separate from my Pico, not a second. I just love this one.
No.
Yeah, I was about to retract that because I loaned mine to my son and he took it off to California, and at least once or twice a week I go, oh, it's not here, I can't do that.
Where is it? Where is it?
But Ludovic, if you travel regularly for work, then you will absolutely love the Pico, because you can just slide it in your backpack. You almost forget about it, and then you pull it out whenever you want to play, and you got all the Eigenharp goodness coming out of it. So
Yes, I was amazed by the movie you made in the Thalys, or don't know which train.
Yeah.
And it was very nice.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite videos.
That was on my way to Music Mess almost a year and a half ago now. Yeah, it is. Having the Pico with you, as Antonio says, it's like instant music satisfaction.
Yeah.
Great.
So is there something that you specifically wanted to talk about or hear or were wondering about, or if there's not, that's okay. You probably just want to touch it, right?
Okay. It's yeah. Well, go on.
Yeah, actually, we
Just go on.
we were actually not talking about the Eigenharp at all. We were talking.
No, this is another one of those.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because Mike went to. I don't know if you can see the chat history to the left, Ludovic, but Mike pasted a link to something called Tom Jackson Productions, and he went to see this seminar. Is it called a seminar, Mike? I don't know how you call this.
I don't know.
Yeah.
An event.
Yeah, an event basically about how to become a better stage performer, and it seemed to be very, very interesting. So he was sharing a lot of information with us about that, and we were talking about our experiences. Yeah.
No, I don't have any history on the left.
That's a pity. Let me see if I can copy paste.
Are you sure? Is there a little reveal button over there?
Yes.
No,
I think now.
if you start the Hangout after we write something, it simply isn't. Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Yeah.
I was wondering that same thing.
You have to type it again.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're learning how this Hangout stuff works.
Well, I'm learning how not to invite people, apparently.
Yeah, that was
That
that was kind of interesting. I invited my Eigenharp friends. I go, oh, I'm not one of them, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a matter of competence, not intent.
But I invited all of you guys also, actually, when I started the Hangout. And something changed in Google Plus, I suppose, a week or so ago.
Yeah, it wasn't working the way it was previously, yeah. A little different.
So-
You just got to be persistent.
Since Ludovic is here, and since at least 2 people have their alphas running, I just moved, so mine's still in its bloody case until this afternoon. Ludovic, I mean, how much do you know about it? Would it be worth somebody who's got one running showing you, selecting instruments or key groups or something like that?
I have already lost a few hours browsing the internet and on the Eigenlab and Eigenzone 6, so I think I pretty much know anything about about you can find on the internet. I'm just now it's just a matter of trying.
Exactly.
Yeah, put your hands on one.
Yeah.
That's
If
always
you put
the
your
thing,
hands on one, you'll buy it.
Yes.
Actually, I may maybe buy one without trying it first, but
Well, I did.
I prefer to test first.
Yes. Well, it's understandable. It's But really, if you travel in Pico, and I should go for it. It's like also a perfect Christmas gift if you can get someone to give it to you. It's, actually, the funny story is that I bought the Pico as a birthday present for my girlfriend, but she never got it.
I've never heard that.
Really?
Yeah. It was kind of it was the ultimate excuse because I was like, okay, what is this new instrument? I can't try it out, but it looks cool and it looks like because she doesn't have any musical training, it looks like she could be able to get somewhere very quickly by playing chords and stuff like that. So just buy it and give it to her. But I was thinking, let's try it out first to see if I like it, and then I might buy one of the bigger ones. But actually, it never passed on.
Are you guitar players, piano players, or?
I'm more a keyboard player.
Keyboard player, yeah.
I'm guitar player.
Actually, I guess there's a couple of cello players.
Yeah. And Mike is an everything. Well? Mike is an everything player. He's
yeah.
Well.
Here it is.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
There it is.
Go that way.
That is so cool.
Have you spent a lot of time with it already, Mike?
It arrived Friday.
So you're still tuning it? I'm just kidding.
I've got a couple of tunings that work.
All right.
But it's been interesting. So I've probably spent 2 hours with it.
Right.
But it's
Hey, Chris.
it's amazing. Oh, hey, hi. How's Chris
Hey, guys.
this morning?
Hi, Chris.
I am tired. How are you guys?
So yeah, you played a lot of lap steel, right, Mike? Is that more like your instrument?
It's more accurate to say I don't play a lot of fretted guitars.
Okay.
So I'm left to play lap steel.
Right.
Yeah, I've got 3 or 4 lap steel guitars of various descriptions.
Right.
And a lot of the skills are transferable between them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris.
Well,
we've
I've
got-
always liked sitars, and that looks to me like a sitar for people that don't want to spend 5 years learning how to tune it.
Oh, that's you know what? It's a standard 8-string guitar with strung a little strange because the highest note, for example, is on the bottom.
Mhm.
With 12 sympathetic strings that are tuned exactly the way you'd tune a sitar sympathetic,
Right.
if you want.
Except they have gears.
Oh yeah, as opposed to pegs. Yeah, no, that's a big deal. They're not very good. They're not good tuners. They're fairly cheap tuners, but they work.
Well, maybe you can change the tuners out.
Ludovic, what do you play?
Oh, we can't hear you.
Bass and keyboards.
Oh, okay,
Cool.
great.
Yeah. Oh,
But now I'm more of keyboard player than a bass player. I've played bass during my teenhood, but my bass is currently in my parents' bedroom.
So is that electric bass or is that how do you call it in English?
Electric bass.
Electric bass, yeah.
Double, not
double
double
bass,
bass, electric bass.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not
And
rockabilly slap bass?
Sorry?
Not rockabilly slap bass? It's not popular in Europe, I don't think.
Well, we've got a
no,
local band here that is the whole rockabilly thing. Up to
Really?
you know, they dress up like it all, you know, the whole thing.
It was more like depressive French pop.
Cool. Yeah, Chris Ludovic is interested in the Eigenharp and couldn't find a retailer. So
Yeah. Where are you located?
In south of France.
Ah.
so there is a retailer, but he doesn't stock them due to
So
the
you
economy.
can't test anything yet.
You know, Gerd, I've got another Eigenlab suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
I thought of this when my thread about is there anybody on Earth close enough to me to play with in existence got hijacked. And it just wandered off into some completely different subject. But it would be really useful, and I think it would be promotionally useful for Eigenlabs to have a list of a place where performers could say, you know, find an Eigenharp player in your area.
Right. Yes.
And I say that both for the social aspect, but also the commercial aspect.
Totally.
There was a fair uptake yesterday, for example, and people thinking that an unusual instrument might be a nice catch or hook. So there was a lot of actual interest in the instrument, and you know, I could see a band giving a guy a gig or two just because it might be interesting to see how to integrate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I talked about that already. It's just, you know, because we have a bunch of that information actually available when people that register their instrument. Yeah. It's basically coming down to resources. We have to kind of program the back end for it, and it's so it will probably happen because I thought about that also, and I think it's a very important thing. We'll have to get the okay from everyone first, because everyone that already signed up has to be able to say that, yes, I want to be able to be found.
I think it's worth representing it as an artist promotional support feature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you get a different uptake on it if you express. It's the same thing.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
But if you express it in that manner, you're offering somebody an advantage as opposed to preying on them.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the angle I was going for also, but just legally you have to. But anyway, yeah, it's something that we've discussed already. It's probably going to happen sometime in the future during the next website update.
So that's another real soon now.
What is?
RSN? Sorry, I'm being facetious. Should we all ask you about the...
I didn't say real soon. I say it's going to happen sometime, probably.
No, I said real soon. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm getting reminders on my stage provisioning profile.
Me too.
Yeah, me too also.
Yes.
I think
we'll fix that soon.
Love to buy it.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Oula, someone using an analog modem? Oh. So Mike, what I did in terms of, I didn't buy any Mogophoners, but I routed Slim Fatty through my audio interface at 96K into the new audio engine and use a bunch of audio unit effects. Basically also test out 2.0 features, make sure that they probably work. But it's actually a lot of fun now because get this whole new palette of sounds that I can derive from the basic oscillator and filter. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and now that you're using keys as controllers more, that's a really great application of these keys is to use them not just to play notes, but to play effects.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's funny to combine. I was wondering if it would create some kind of timing problem, but it's probably just a theoretical question that I couldn't know the answer to, but I never really thought through it. But it's funny to think that you've got Eigen-D sending MIDI. It goes through the analog synth, coming back, goes through audio units, which you control in real time at the same time as you're actually, you're emotionally playing the notes that have been gone to the analog synth, and then you're manipulating them with virtual effects, which are then sent out again through the audio interface, and which you then hear. It's like going through all these loops, and it works fine.
It's attributed to low latency.
Well, yes and no. The thing is that everything happens in that latency buffer actually, because you get audio in and out at this. It happens during the same buffer, so the latency doesn't actually increase, which is what.
Well, try it with Guitar Pro as your effect.
It works.
I find that thing has bad latency.
Oh.
Yeah, but Garrett, you have audio in coming in through your audio interface and then back out again, right? So
yeah.
You have a double buffer there, right?
In the audio interface, yeah, but not. It's not the double buffer in the processing software.
But the interesting thing is, I think that our perception of latency is kind of interesting because, for certain things, decent, some latency some is not really a big deal. But definitely on the attack note, that's where we perceive it the most, I think, on the attack phase.
Also, if it's in the control cycle, then it creates an issue for you. But if it's not, if you can execute the physical motions you want to execute, and at some point later the sound comes out, that may or may not be a big problem. But if you have to wait for the sound in order to react, that's a bigger problem.
Right, you can adapt to it. You can adapt to it, and especially if it's a fixed latency that your body just immediately.
Yeah, you can, but it's not the same experience, right? It's yeah, I have that when I use the microphone, the internal microphone of the Eigenharp. I hear that difference instantly. Than if I work through a proper in-ear monitoring, then this one, the difference is noticeable, and you learn it, but it's not the same satisfaction. It's like each time you got to get used to it again, and it's like hearing yourself speak, and it's as if you've got an echo during a conference call. Okay, you can talk with an echo in the background, but it doesn't mean that you've got the same pleasure using it.
That's also because you're hearing the latency on the attack phase. Like, one of the interesting things I heard from analog synthesis or just designing sounds is that your brain actually perceives what the note is, like what instrument it belongs to, in the first, so many milliseconds of the attack phase. Mm-hmm. So actually our brain already has decided what the note is going to be, what instrument it's going to be, before we even get into like the release phase or anything like that. So that's why the latency in the attack phase, I think, is what's so important. But if you're just controlling effects like delay or whatever, a little bit of latency is not a big deal.
Depends what kind of effect. I found that if it's filter cutoff, for example, then it does come really into play, because it can so dramatically change the sound. And if you don't get that instant reaction to, it's as if you want to control buzz on the guitar string. If that buzz doesn't correspond to the actual pressure that you're using, then it doesn't feel as natural, even though the attack has gone. So of course, it depends.
Yeah, but is it 20 milliseconds or is it 100 milliseconds?
100.
I mean, you can have more.
Quite a lot.
No, I know, but you can have more latency. Like, 20 probably you may not notice.
It's this kind of thing where if you don't have it, it's not a big deal. Right? But if you do have low latency, then sometimes you get this experience that you wouldn't have otherwise. It's like you're part of it. It doesn't always happen, but it feels to me that it allows that to happen. Just as if you're mixing in 24-bit 96K. There are situations where you say, wow, where you would never have said wow if you would be mixing in 16-bit 44.1. It's difficult to quantize, and it's much more emotional related, I think, than something you can specifically measure, because it's basically how you feel.
Yeah. So I spent the whole day yesterday trying to get Eigen and Kaima.
Right.
Kima, I should say Kima is how you pronounce it, to communicate via OSC. And the interesting thing is that the mapping obviously isn't one-to-one on the different controls. So they have this really weird concept, which I still need to understand what you're supposed to do here, but velocity is not just an initial value. Velocity is continuous. Mm-hmm. So I don't really like if I actually tie that to pressure on the Eigenharp, it doesn't really work, because you want to start, like, if you hit the note hard, you want it to have this high initial velocity. But then as soon as your hand comes off the button, then the velocity drops way down.
Right.
So it creates this kind of weird envelope on the sound. But I mean, the continuum does it, so I don't know how it's supposed to work.
Oh, Mike is laughing, and I'm laughing also because we had the exact same discussion last week about it's the first derivative function of a signal impulse, and so yes, you've got this derivative value that is not the same as the original value, that is related, but it's derived through some kind of algorithm, which is actually what you're looking for, right? Which is a continuous velocity that changes over time, but it still has that attack phase.
Right, so it has to be algorithmically computed. And then the problem is that if the continuum does it differently than I do it, then the sounds aren't going to be the same at all.
I'll have a look at what the continuum does. It gives me the opportunity to take it out of the box again.
Yeah, I'd actually like to know. The other thing I realized is that I actually created an algorithm to compute initial velocity on the first couple samples, but it's not a good place to do it. I mean, it should really be done in Eigen, I think. So
yeah,
gives me a chance to try writing an agent, I guess.
But I think I don't know where it ended up eventually. Let me see. I think we have an agent for that.
Oh.
No, it's not an agent, but it's a class. So there is the velocity, the PIW_velocity detect class, Chris.
Okay.
You could you can actually look at, and I think that if you just write a Python wrapper around it, that would expose it as an agent. I think you should be very close to what you want, because this is the exact. It's just a U filter. And this is the exact same thing that we use in anywhere there is velocity detection in EigenD. So I think it's just a matter of wrapping that up in something else.
Yeah, sounds good.
And could give you a good little example to work through by using one of the the latch agent or something like that, which is documented, and then cutting it out and replacing some of the code with that, just adding an input and an output, and be able to detect velocity based on that.
Okay, thanks.
If you want help with it, just ask.
Okay, thanks.
So about the continuum, the thing is, the continuum doesn't send any OSC at all.
No, but the thing is, see, the thing that happened with Kima, I think, is that Continuum has a native protocol between it and Kima that was completely proprietary. And so what happened was, when I was mapping MIDI from the Eigenharp to sounds, they wouldn't map properly because they didn't have the same protocol capabilities. So I actually, to do the 14-bit MIDI, I actually have to completely structure the sound differently, which is actually very not very efficient. You have to actually completely duplicate parts of the patch. So that's why this OSC input is actually supposedly at parity with what the Continuum enjoys. So that's kind of the motivation there. But.
So the protocol between the Continuum and the Kima is proprietary. That's a shame.
Yeah, it's over FireWire, I think, or it's a native driver.
They must have changed that because the Continuums don't have FireWire anymore. The one that I have
software on the computer, though, right?
I don't know how it sends. I think it sends it over DIN MIDI cables, but then it's something else that's being sent instead of MIDI.
Oh.
That's how it communicates with its CV interface also.
Well, you guys it has an internal engine as well,
it does.
right?
Yeah.
Like you can either get the Pacarana separately or.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to waste too much time talking about Kima, but
it's interesting.
It's interesting, yeah. So.
But it is something that I've been struggling with also, is having continuous volume control but still get velocity. Designing sounds with that is not easy. Because often
I think
it's this physical thing of you can never tap it hard enough and keep it under control to give it a sharp attack. It's okay to do it slowly and to have these slow moving sounds, that works, but getting the quick tap to work well and then still control it afterwards, that always fails.
For what it's worth, that's mostly in patch design. That's a similar problem that EWI players have always had, like WX5, WX7 players, because it's the same deal, right?
Yeah. Different instrument's going to be different. It's going to have to be designed differently for that instrument.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating because you go through the example patches that are using all this extended control, and you're like, "Wow, that patch sounds terrible. What is this supposed to sound like?" It's almost like you need to have a sample, audio with each one to figure out what it's supposed to sound like.
Right. Yeah, that's what I found. It's the other way around works also, I think, because there's sounds on the Slim Fatty that are absolutely horrible when I play it on a keyboard. But when I play them with the Eigenharp, they're awesome.
Yeah.
It's just the other way around. It's like you get expression where you didn't have any before. So I think that's basically the fact that the instruments are different and some things have to be designed differently. But the fact that we discussed this last week, Mike, your continuous glance, and that it has come up for Chris, and that I've struggled with it over time also. It is something that probably needs some kind of attention to to get it more
Yeah,
accessible.
I haven't made any progress on that document. I've been otherwise occupied, but I think it's worth letting it cook a bit anyways.
Yeah, but there's no rush on it. I actually wanted to
No,
talk
but it'd
to
be
you
nice
about
to have
it.
something for the developer conference.
Yeah, it's something that will really open discussions, and I think that's the most valuable part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the issue is not to put forward something that's actually the right answer, but to put forward something that somebody can say, "Oh God, no, not that,"
Right.
which forces them to come up with the right answer.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I've been learning this new Pat Metheny, or not new Pat Metheny song, but Pat Metheny on the Eigenharp, which has been really challenging. And the cool thing about it is that he uses so many like guitar techniques of pull-ons and sliding and all this stuff that's totally changing the way I'm learning the Eigenharp, which is great. Like, it actually sounds pretty cool, but it's kind of led me down this weird road where I want that signature sound too, you know? So
yes.
Then it got me into looking at like the GR300, that old analog guitar synth, and learning how that thing works, and which is amazing because it only has 3 seconds of latency on tracking, and it's completely analog. Yeah, so I don't know. I was thinking about trying to figure out how to at least model a facsimile of the sound in Kima and see if I can figure out how to control that. So, we'll see.
So you're not practicing anymore again?
Well, that's the problem. Yeah, I mean, yesterday I blew it to programming, which stinks. But I did, yeah. So. Exactly.
So when you build your velocity agent, you need a velocity on and a velocity off, which gets back to the point that you need to be able to take derivative values pretty much all the time because they can be useful in patches.
Yes.
It's another good illustration where, first derivative values are incredibly. They're actually in a lot of musical instruments execution. It's not something I'd thought of.
Yes.
Well, let's see. I'd be interested in the math for it because I mean I haven't dealt with that in a long time. So.
I know.
Oh well, yeah, but you cheat. You cheat on the math.
Yeah, well that's true. But even an example of just like conceptually what it's supposed to do.
I had some good stuff on string modeling someplace, and I should dig it up. I was sharing it with somebody. Oh well, I'll find it again.
Yeah, we did, Larry and Jim and Ferdinand, we did the other hangout. It jumped from Wednesday to Thursday, and we stay here like 2 a.m. talking about that, programming the instrument to do what we want and practice and play and enjoy. But we have to take those two roads. Yeah. And I'm not programming, not much thing, but sometimes we want something to be there, and you have to do it. Okay, but better days ahead, I think.
I think the obvious answer is you need to do both.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Ultimately, yeah.
I think I said it last time. Also, I'm not sure. I might be repeating myself, but there is this very very good video that I actually a course that I took, an online course about mixing, and one of the key points that this guy makes is that when you're mixing, only use the plugins that you already know with presets that you've already made. Because otherwise you'll start just digging away and spending hours just fine-tuning a preset and never get the mix done. Well, it will sound just fine with any of the things that you already know. You know them. You've already marked down the things that are your favorites. Just use those, and then set aside a different amount of time specifically for research into new sounds, new effects, new approaches. But don't mix them, because otherwise you'll be in this everlasting path of never getting anything done.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, we have to have goals, either in that programmability area or in playing. So strictly defined goals, what has to be done. literally.
And I know this is gonna sound very, very, very frustrating to you guys, but I've been having a totally different experience with the Eigenharp since Workbench.
Okay.
That's
Sorry that.
right. The RSN is really, really, really RSN now. What I found is basically different is that I used to think in this huge setups that I didn't want to think about how to connect things when I was actually in music mode. Well, when I'm using Workbench now, that actually it's so easy to just connect something to something else that if I want to try something out, it's okay. I'll just quickly open up Workbench and wire a few things together, and it works. So I think that's where we're going, and
Nice.
it's a matter of weeks now. We'll be able to try that out also. So.
Yeah, but weeks could be as high as, I don't know, 52 or so, right?
Yes, before weeks and before the end of the year. So
We said
kids are home.
We said around the corner, like Jupiter or Mars. Or
I gotta go because the kids are home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Catch you guys next week or on Sunday.
Yes.
On
Bye.
Sunday.